Hello everyone, we are going to present um, a case study. The case study we given a title. The title is Navigation Economic Uncertainty, a comprehensive analysis of Australian macroeconomic variables and global factor. Our group number is 11. We have two members. First one is MD Aminul Karim. His ID is 250973995, and myself MD Shohan. My ID is 250-25709. So in case study, we have to first, m- m- based on the case study, we have to do microeconomic variables and their relevant factors, and then applied to a macroeconomic model. Um, so first one is the two uncertainty of this case. First one is household spending. In household spending, macroeconomic variable are household consumption, and relevant factors is household income, inflation, interest rates, housing prices. Household in higher population growth have supported household income. And inflation, high inflation rates have eroded households' purchasing power. Interest rates, that's rising interest rates have increased the cost of borrowing and reduced this posable income in real terms. And housing prices, a decline in housing prices has affected household wealth. For example, as a result of high inflation and rising interest rates, Australian households are cutting back on their discretionary spending. This has led to a slowdown in a growth of household consumption. Second one is global economic outlook. And in global economic outlook, the microeconomic variable is global economic growth, and the relevant factor is inflation, monetary policy, and disinflation. Inflation is high global inflation rates are expected to persist, and monetary policies, tighter monetary policy settings may continue to affect global demand. For example, slower global economic growth is expected over the next 2 years due to the high inflation and tight monetary policies, leading to reduced demand for Australian effort and impacting the country's economic performance. These factors contribute to the uncertainty in the Australian economic outlook. The interaction between household spending and global economic mm, conditions has implications for the overall health of the Australian economy. Okay, next slide. Okay, applying a macroeconomics model T1 and T3 to discuss the effect of recent economic changes and uncertainty on the Australian economy. We can consider the impact on aggregate demand and supply. This analysis can be broken down into two stages. First one is if effect on aggregate demand. The factor mentions in the case study that affect household spending, such as high inflation, rising interest rates, and decline in household wealth, we have significant implications for aggregate demand in the Australian economy. First one is a high inflation and rising interest rate. Um, high inflation and rising interest rates lead to a decreases in consumer spending, and households have reduced real disposal income. Mm, and microeconomic model are the increases in interest rates and inflation would cause a shift to the left to the aggregate demand curve. This result is decreased consumption, lower investment, and reduced government spending, all contribution to a decline in aggregate demand. It's just true is like um, before this is true, decline in household wealth. Decline in household wealth is effect on aggregate demand also. It's like household wealth often are tied to housing prices can also lead to reduced consumer spending as households feel less financially secure. And in microeconomics model, a decrease in household wealth impact consumer confidence, leading to a decrease in consumption, and this shifts result in a leftward movement in the aggregate demand curve. Second one is effect on aggregate supply and potential output. The global economic outlook characterized by low global growth and uncertainties around disinflations and future monetary policy can influence the supply side of the Australian economy. First one is global economic uncertainty. I- Um, uh, Uncertainty in the global economy can affect Australian effort and foreign demand for Australian goods and services. A slowdown in global growth can reduce Australian export potential. And second one is monetary policy and disinflation uncertainty. That affect about global monetary policy and disinflation can affect investment decision by businesses. Firms may delay investment in an uncertain environment. Um, Uncertain can be lead decrease in business investment because it result reduction in potential output. In summary, the factors mentioned in the case study have significant implication for both aggregative demand and aggregative supply in the Australian economy. High inflation and rising interest rates reduce household spending and in turn aggregate demand. Okay, next slide. Okay, next slide will be introduce next slide will be describe MD Aminul Islam. Okay, Aminul Islam. Do you
Thank you, MD Shohak. Here, my part is applying to macroeconomic model T2 and T3 to discuss the effect of recent economic changes and uncertainty on Australian economy. Okay, here we can see many kind of occurrence which is happened overall the world and Australia, which affected also in Australia, like effect of recent economic changes in uncertainty on the Australian economics. Like the Australian economic has encountered a series of formidable challenges in recent years, each of which has left a distinct mark on its economic landscape. Here we can see the COVID-19 pandemic. However, people are affected by, globally and also nationally. In Australia, during COVID-19, people are suffered for householding, and they suffered. They can't move here and there. That's why they have to live, stay on the house, and they needed much more house, and that's why they get the fall in householding. After effect was the most dangerous than during COVID, because after that everything is getting higher, getting higher day by day. That's why it's affected the economic of COVID-19. It affected the Australian economic very badly. And then we can see here the war in Ukraine. Like when everything is going up, everything is going up, like oil and gas is rising like a rocket, skyrocketed, and it's affected also nationally in Australia. And everything like tools and house, the labor, they are coming to their workplace. They have to use fuel. That's why the household cost is uh, rising day by day. And then we can see here rising inflation and rising inflation is one of the effect of recent economic changes and uncertainty on the Australian economy. And then we can see slowing global growth. And where we can see globally, the economic growth is like slowly increasing slowly, where it's affected also internationally. And then here the common on the key macroeconomic indicator T1, as well as the impact on the balance of payment, where we can see balance of payment. The Australian balance of payment is a record of all Australia's economic transaction with the rest of the world. It is divided into two main accounts: the current account and the capital and financial account. The current account records Australia's trade in goods and services, as well as income from abroad and its payments to abroad. The capital and financial accounts records Australia's investment in other countries and the investments of other countries in Australia. The Australian current account is in deficit, which means that Australia imports more goods and services than it exports. This deficit is financial by a surplus on the capital and financial account. The recent economy changes, the uncertainty have had a negative impact on the Australian balance of payment. The current account deficit is expected to widen in the coming year. Here we can see macroeconomic indicator, where it's household and consumption level demand global, where we can see the slowdown in consumption growth due to high inflation and rising interest rate could negatively impact the balance of payment by reducing import demand. And then we can see labor demand, where a strong labor demand could support economic growth and household income, potentially boosting imports and affecting the balance of payment. And then we can see the global growth. Subdued global growth could dampen the demand for Australian exports, leading to a potential deteriorations in the balance of payment. In the impact on balance of payment, where trade balance, capital flows, overall balance, and trade flows, the combination of slowing consumption of subdued the global growth could reduce Australia's export and increase import, potentially widening the trade deficit and negatively impacting the balance of payments. Capital flows, uncertainties surrounding global economic conditions and monetary policy could affect investors' sentiment and capital flows, potentially influencing the financial account component of the balance of payment. Overall balance, the combined effect of trade balance and capital follows could lead to a determination. Here we can see determination in the overall balance of payment, reflecting and potential decrease in Australia's net foreign assets. And then here macroeconomics in factor that could impact Australia's payment, where impact on balance, where with macroeconomics indicator household consumption, labor demand, global growth, exchange rate. And the exchange rate, a higher exchange rate makes Australia's exports more expensive and imports cheaper, which could lead to the wider trade deficit. And then investor sentiment. Here uncertainties surrounding global economic condition and monetary policy and could affect investor sentiment, where we can already cover it. And government policies also, such as traffic and subsidiaries, can also impact the balance and of payment. Here we can see the analysis of the measures that has been implemented by the Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, in response to the recent economic changes in the Australia and world economy, where we can see RBA measures to address the recent economy. And the Reserve Bank of Australia has implemented reserve measures to address the recent economy changes in Australia and the global economy, particularly those affecting in its trading partners. These measures primarily focus on monetary policy adjustments to address rising inflation and maintain economic stability. Interest rate hikes, here we can see, and the RBI has embarked on a series interest rate hikes to curb rising inflation in May 2022. The cash rate was raised from 0.1% to 0.25%, the first increase in over a decade. And and the quantitative tightening, the RBI is selling government bonds to reduce the supply of money in the economy. Which is the RBI has also initiated quantitative tightening to the supply of money in the economy. QT involves selling government bonds held by the RBI, effectively withdrawing liquidity from the financial system. This measures complements interest rate hikes in managing inflation and promoting stable economic condition. And then forward guidance. The RBI has provided forward guidance to market participants signing out to expected and continue to rising interest rate in the near term. near term, and then we can see monitoring global development. The RBI closely monitored economic developments in Australia major trading partners, particularly China, the United States, and Japan. Japan, also the China and United States, Japan. This economics significantly influence global growth and demand for Australian export. The RBI considers these factors when assessing the appreciate monetary policy stance for the Australia's economy. RBI, and then here the final least but not the least explanation of the underlying economic logic of these measures and assess the reflectiveness of these measures based on assessment. This assessment make a forecast to how RBI may move the cash rate in the last 6 months in Australia. Here we can see government measures and many RBM and measures like where we want to present underlying economic logic of the measures. The Australian government's measures are designed to support economic growth and protect the vulnerable during a time of economic change and uncertainty. The tax cuts are designed to boost economic activity by encouraging business to invest and growth, and by giving individuals more money to spend. The spending increasing and designed to create job and their economic rate and to improve the quality life and the investor growth by giving individual more money to spend. The spending increase is designed to create jobs and support economy and to improve the quality for Australia. The grants and subsidies are designed to help businesses invest and grow and to help individuals afford essential goods and services. The RBI's measures are designed to bring inflation down and protect the financial system. RBI's measures are designed to bring inflation down and protect the inflation system. Higher interest rate make it more effective for the economy and more expensive, and the inflation down to protect the financial system. Higher and make it more expensive to borrow money, which can dampen consumer spending and investment. Quantitative tighter, it reduces the amount of money in this circulation, and which can also help to bring inflation down. Effectiveness of the measure, effectiveness of the government's and RBS measure is still uncertain. It is possible that the interest rate hikes will cause over the recession in Australia. However, the government of Australia and RBA are hopeful that they can achieve a soft landing, where inflation is brought down without causing a recession. The effectiveness of the government's measure will depend on a number of factors, including the strength of the global economy and response for business and consumers to the tax cuts and spending increasing. The effectiveness of RBS measures will depend on the pace of disinflation and the response of the global economics to tighter monetary policy system. To forecast of RBA cash rate movements in the next 6 months, the RBA is likely to continue rising interest rate in the next 6 months, but the place of the hikes is uncertain. The RBA will need to balance the risk of inflation and decision when making its decision. If inflation continue to rise, the RBA is likely to raise the interest rate further. However, if the economy shows signs of slowing down, the RBA may cause or slow down its interest rate. RBA is also likely to influence here, and higher we can see the effectiveness of measure, the effective of government RBA measure is still uncertain. It is possible that the interest rate hikes will cause of recession. However, the government and RBA are hopeful that they are achieve it. And however, if we can see in for the forecast of RBA cash rate movement in the 6 month, next 6 months, the RBA is likely to continue raising the interest rate in next 6 months, but the pace is hikes is uncertain. So here, we got some math, and the according to the previous statement give me the math forecast RBA cash rate movement in 6 months. Next 6 months, the RBA cash rate is currently 2.35% based on a previous statement. I forecast that the RBA cash rate will reach 3.25 by the end of 2023. The represent a total increase of 90 basis points. Here is a mathematical breakdown of my forecast. November 2023, 2.5%, December 2023. So here 2.75% January 2024. That will be like 3.00% February in 2024, and 3.25%. I believe that this forecast is realistic given the current economic condition. Inflation is high, and the RBA is committed to bring down. The global economy is also slowing down, which is another reason why the RBA may raise the interest rate more slowly in the future. However, it is important to note that this is just a forecast. The RBA may decide to raise interest rate more quickly or more slowly than I have predicted, depending on how to economy making process. That's it. What would be the key source of the uncertainty for Australian economy outlook? Here we can see competing forces affecting household spending and outlook for global growth. Here, the end of my presentation and my team. And thank you for that. And thank you for everyone who are watching that. Thank you.